So I've been seeing a lot of videos recently on 2024 beauty trends, what's really in right now, what's popular, what people are loving. So I thought it'd be fun to do a video on 2024 trends versus how I used to do my makeup in 2014. And I actually have proof of how I used to do my makeup because I was filming YouTube videos and I went back and looked at a few of them, and it is so interesting how the makeup trends change, how styles and preferences change. So on the left side of my face, I'm going to incorporate some of the really big trends from 2014, like 2014 through 2016, like that time period. And then on the right side of my face, I'm going to focus on what's a little bit more trendy and popular right now and incorporate some of the techniques I'm using these days. I do want to say thank you to Typology for sponsoring today's video and working with me again here on my channel. I love Typology. I actually tried their products last summer for the first time, and I feel like their products came at the perfect time for me because that's when I really started updating my daily go-to makeup routine. It is a lot different than it used to be back in 2014, but even a lot different than it used to be just a few years ago. So Typology is a French skincare brand. They're actually a top-selling brand in France for online skincare, but they're still kind of under the radar here in the US, and their products are so beautiful. They have high-quality ingredients, gorgeous formulas, so I'm going to be using some of them in today's video. So I will, of course, link their website at the top of the description box below. If you use my link and you place an order on their website of $40 or more, they will include a free Radiance Mask with yellow clay, which is a really good option if you deal with a lot of texture like me. If you just want your skin to look really bright and luminous, that will be a great product to try. In 2024, there's definitely more of a focus on lighter coverage makeup, products that look skin-like but are also actually good for your skin. Typology's Tinted Care line is actually perfect for that because these are hybrid products. So you get the long-term benefits of skincare mixed with like that added boost, whether it is glow, a little bit of coverage, a little bit of color. So that's what I'll be using on the right side of my face. So let's start with the left and go for more of that full coverage look. I don't know if I was quite as big on primer in 2014 as I was a little bit later on, but when I would use a primer, it was definitely something that was either very mattifying or a little bit smoothing, or maybe a combination of both. From 2014 all the way up until probably like 2021, I was still using very mattifying products every day. Nothing wrong with matte makeup by any means, and I definitely still reach for mattifying products sometimes because my skin is oily, but I would layer that foundation on. I would have a super heavy, thick layer of foundation, and it didn't feel good on my skin even back then. And I'm sure it didn't look good in person. I always thought it looked good on camera, but I like thinking back to that time and how much product I was using, there's no way. Also, I feel like 2014 all the way up to like 2017, a lot of the techniques were kind of similar. So I feel like I might be referencing more so like that period of time rather than just 2014 specifically. Now in 2024, there definitely is more of a focus on skincare prep, whereas back in 2014, I didn't care about that as much. So obviously it starts with your skin using really good ingredients, really high quality products. And then beyond that, I think a lot of people like to have a very glowy, dewy, hydrated base. So I'm going to start with the Typology Glow Drops. You can use these a few different ways. You can use them as like an actual base before you go in with anything else. You can mix them with your moisturizer. I'll mix them with the tinted serum from Typology, and sometimes I'll use them as a liquid highlighter as well. So this formula is made with 5% vitamin C and aloe vera. What I love about this product and the fact that more of a luminous base does tend to be the norm these days is it just looks so healthy. It looks really pretty and luminous. This product from Typology is not glittery at all. It's just glowy. And what I love about the texture of this is it's very lightweight. So it sinks in. It doesn't really add like this slippery or slick feel to the skin. It just gives you like that healthy luminosity. If you deal with texture like me, you might be a little bit hesitant to embrace like a glowier, more luminous base. And if that's the case, I definitely recommend trying the Glow Drops from Typology because they don't enhance texture like a lot of other really glowy or even like metallic base products do. It's very, very lightweight. It has those skincare benefits and it just looks really natural on the skin. Along with the focus on skin prep, there's definitely more of a focus on a true skin-like finish and something on the skin that just looks very natural and not quite as heavy or intense as like a full coverage foundation. So one of my favorite products is the Typology Tinted Serum. I have the shade Light, and I'll swatch it for you so you can see what the actual texture looks like. This is perfect for everyday wear. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this is a hybrid product. So it is packed with really beneficial skincare ingredients like vitamin C, aloe vera, squalane. So it is a really hydrating formula, but because it does have a tint of color, it's also going to even out your skin tone. It's so interesting doing this side by side because I really can just feel the difference. This is so lightweight, really comfortable on the skin. It feels good and it looks good. And the truth is, I used to think like more intense full coverage products really wore better throughout the day. And I guess it can depend on what you're using. But I do think if you tend to go for something a little bit softer, slightly more natural, that almost looks better at the end of the day. And I think it's because, you know, heavy products might look good on camera, they might look good in photos, but they just don't always look as great because once they start to break down, like there's a noticeable difference where it's breaking down. Whereas if you're using something really lightweight, like this tinted serum, it's just going to be more graceful as it wears off throughout the day. Looking at this side by side, like I really truly do prefer how this looks because it is skin-like, it's just kind of boosted. Like there's a little bit of coverage, there's an extra glow there. And I know when I walk outside into natural light, it's still going to look like skin, whereas this side is going to look really intense and heavy. Okay, so moving on to concealer. So back in the day, really heavy concealer was definitely trendy, like the very bright under eyes, something a little more intense. It's funny to me now because I know for a fact I did not need a ton of concealer. I didn't really have dark under eye circles. I did kind of like the fact that it would brighten up the under eyes, but I do think it got really out of hand. Without a doubt, it would start to look really heavy, really cakey, really intense, and there wasn't really any avoiding it because you're applying so much product, like it's bound to look heavy and intense. I don't know if I was into pressed powder or loose powder back then. I just know that I would layer the powder up and it would have to be like a brightening powder. Personally, I didn't want to be shiny at all. Like I wanted a fully matte look. I remember I would wear like a full coverage matte foundation and then set it with a full coverage powder foundation. So I can only imagine that it did look quite a bit heavier than even what I'm doing right now. Now in 2014, I'm definitely still wearing concealer. I mean, there were quite a few concealer launches in 2023. So I don't think concealer has really gone anywhere. It's just the technique that people use tends to be a little bit different. And there's not quite as much product. Like people aren't applying as much product. So typically a lot of people just kind of take it like right in this area. And then sometimes they'll take it in this outer corner too. I guess I will sometimes, but I more so kind of focus it like directly right under the eye just to brighten things up, and I don't use quite as much. This is the Serum Concealer from Typology. Again, really great ingredients. This actually has caffeine in it as well as niacinamide. So it does work to brighten up dark under eye circles if that's something you deal with, as well as reduce puffiness, which is something I definitely deal with. This has a little bit more coverage than the tinted serum, but it doesn't end up looking heavy or cakey on the skin at all. It really does have that serum-like texture, so it just blends into the skin really well. And then I'm just using like a tiny amount of loose setting powder to set that into place. That is definitely one area where I've noticed a big difference in my personal routine. I used to load so much powder on my face, and now I'll usually just go in with like a very minimal amount. I think in 2014, a lot of the focus was on contour, like contour kits, contour palettes. I actually don't have a lot of really cool toned contour powders in my collection right now. But when I did reach for a bronzer, it was always a matte powder bronzer, and I would wear a lot of it. I never really thought I would be, but I am definitely all about the cream bronzer in 2024. Cream bronzers are popular. Obviously, liquid contours are really popular. I personally don't wear like the liquid contours quite as much, but cream bronzer, I'm all about it. It just looks so natural and pretty on the skin. And again, if you have texture on your skin like me, all of these matte products are really going to enhance the texture, whereas the creams just glide over it. Okay, I'm going to kind of do brows and eyes at the same time. So for me, my brows in 2024 are a lot less intense than they were in 2014. Wow, when I was watching those old videos, I was like, why did I not know what was going on? But I think I mean, I was following the trends a little bit. I also think I was just really bad at doing my eyebrows. So in 2024, I do try to create a little bit more of a fluffy look. So I always start with a brow gel and I start by combing them upwards. 2014 was definitely the time of dip brow and eyebrow pomades were really popular. I actually don't have one and I didn't want to buy one just for this video because I would probably never use it again. So I'm going to start with the brow gel because I remember I would also sometimes use a brow gel and then fill them in with eyeshadow. The difference for me is that I would have never combed them upwards. I would have just like brushed them straight across and then I would have filled them in and my eyebrow would have looked like a block. So you know what? I'm going to let that brow gel dry and I'll move on to the eyes and then I'll come back and finish the brows. I'm just applying a little bit of a lip oil while I work on my eyes, just because I think we'll be here for a little while. So for day to day in 2024, I usually just throw like a bronzer in the crease and then just like a light shimmery shadow on the lid. Don't get me wrong, I definitely still like more intense eye looks. And I would say out of all of my makeup, my eye makeup is probably what I haven't changed quite as much. Like on a scale of what's trendy and what isn't, mine probably still leans a little bit less, it probably leans more so in the direction of what's not trendy. Not really like my everyday eye makeup, but when I am doing a little bit more of an intense look, I definitely still incorporate some of the techniques I used back in like 2016, 2017. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with not playing into the trends. Ooh, I almost dropped my highlighter. Not keeping up with them because you really have to do what works for you and your personal preferences. So if you like to follow the trends or you like to update your makeup style, then that's perfectly fine. But if not, that's fine too. I feel like for me, it's kind of nice to take the trends as inspiration and honestly just play around with them and see what works for me. Some things do, some things don't. And I don't think it hurts to kind of try something out if it is trendy, just to see if it's something you'll like. And if it isn't, then skip over it. But I know that some of the things like lighter coverage makeup, like a softer base that is more trendy in 2024, actually does kind of meet my preferences now. And I feel like it ends up looking better on me. In 2014, smoky eyes were definitely trendy and a lot of eyeliner. I was actually wearing black liner on my waterline, black liner on my lower lash line, and on my upper lash line. Like the most black liner I've probably ever worn in my life, other than like my junior high days. The eyeliner is so over the top. And as I was applying this black on my waterline, I was like, there's no way. But I was just watching my videos this morning of my 2014 makeup and I feel like I wore even more than this because I would also take the black liner on the lower lash line as well. I haven't quite given up the black winged liner, but I have given up the black waterline. Like that's just so, it's so intense. Okay, for brows in 2024, I usually just go in with a brow pen to define them just a little bit more. And then in 2014, I swear I would just take like the front of the brush and just kind of like I honestly would like stamp it on there just like this and then just kind of like fill them in like this to the point where they were blocked out. Oh my gosh, I literally remember doing this. I would either do it with dip brow or I would do it with eyeshadow, but there was no effort, no attempt to make them look hair-like. I know for a fact that ideally that's not what they were supposed to look like, but that is what I did. I also don't think my eyeshadow was quite as blended, to be honest. I feel like it was kind of patchy and uneven, but I don't think that was the actual trend. I just think that was my fault. It's interesting how my mascara preferences have changed, but I definitely like something a little bit more natural. I like more of a fluttery look, a voluminous look, but not a clumpy look. And then in 2024, it was all about the heavy lashes. So let me apply those. So for blush in 2014, I was always using some sort of matte blush. I don't know that I was really like that into blush as a whole, but I do feel like whenever I wore it, it was a matte. Whereas in I keep wanting to say the wrong year. In 2024, the trends are obviously leaning in the cream direction, a lot of liquids, a lot of serums, which to be honest, I never really thought that I would embrace that type of look, but I have come to love and appreciate it so much. This is just from Typology. It's not actually a blush. It's one of their tinted lip oils, but it works so well as a blush because it is incredibly moisturizing, really glowy, and it just looks smooth on the skin. So I love this on the lips. That's what I applied earlier, but I also love it as a blush. And I personally have moved away from applying like a lot of highlighter. So what's nice about this blush is it adds like the perfect luminosity to the skin. You can build it up if you want like a little more color, but it just gives your skin like that healthy, natural glow. And I think as a whole, that's just kind of the direction the trends have moved. More healthy, skin-like looking products rather than such a flat matte appearance. To be fully fair, I don't know that my cheek product application is the best on this side. I'm just working with such a matte base that I feel like it looks a little patchy. I'm actually going to use this lip oil on this side as well. I just want to apply it to half of my lips. So glossy lips, sheer lip products, really comfortable hydrating formulas are obviously really trendy right now. I think for a lot of us, we just don't want to wear something really uncomfortable, and this Typology formula is so good. I have all of them. I also have a clear one too, but this formula is the best because it is incredibly nourishing. It's not sticky at all. You do get a really pretty hint of color, and it actually like deeply moisturizes the lips. So even once it wears off, your lips feel really good. So in 2014, matte lip products were really, really trendy. Do you remember those Too Faced like melted liquid lipsticks? I loved those so much. And there were interesting choices in terms of color, like bright, cool toned baby pinks or like hot pinks. I remember I was reaching for really intense, over the top, colorful lip products, which honestly is kind of fun, but the lip formulas back then were not anywhere near as comfortable. I don't think I really have a color that's like a good representation of what I would have worn in 2014. So I'm just going to apply something somewhat similar to what I'm wearing on the other side, just like a fully matte version of that. Okay, so here's how the looks turned out. 2024 beauty trends versus 2014 beauty trends. And I guess this is more so like 2014 to 2016. And there are definitely still aspects of, these trends that I love and I do incorporate into my makeup routine even now, especially when I am going for more of a full glam look. But I think for day to day, I do love the fact that 2014 beauty trends are still so much like skin focused and really good ingredients for your skin and applying products that look good and feel good and aren't necessarily quite as heavy. As I was applying this foundation and even like the lashes, the intense eyeliner, like I feel like my skin as a whole, like I can feel it on there. I can definitely feel the lashes, but also the foundation. And I know by the end of the day, like this just starts to feel and look so heavy and cakey. And again, I like it. Like there are definitely days where I'll wear makeup like this, but for day to day, I've definitely really come to appreciate the more skin focused look and trend. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know, what type of makeup looks do you prefer? Do you love the way that beauty trends are headed in 2024? Do you miss the 2016 beauty trends? I would love to hear from you. Thanks again to Typology for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget, if you use the link in my description box below and you place an order of $40 or more, you can get the free Radiance Mask with yellow clay. So definitely check it out. I love Typology. I use their products all the time. Like they have truly become staples for me, and they have a lot of other great options as well. So I'll link their website below so you can browse through and see if there's anything that jumps out at you. But I appreciate you watching. I'll see you very soon with a new one. Bye.